Okay, so I have a problem. Not an academic problem, not a maths problem, a reading problem. My desk has four books on it. All of them are bookmarked somewhere in the middle. My phone has a notes app full of titles. I told myself I would read before the semester ended. It's almost the end of my fourth year. I've not read most of them. And for a long time, I have felt guilty about this, like I was failing at something, like a student who was supposed to love ideas, who was somehow not doing enough to put them in a correct way. But recently I started wondering, what if the guilt itself is that's the problem? I mean, there's a kind of anxiety that lives you in this academic space, a pressure that is never quite spoken but always present. Like, read more, read faster. Have you read this? Somebody would come to you asking, okay, have you read this book? And you just pretend that, yeah, I know about the story, but you haven't read. And there's another pressure from the society, from your colleagues, bragging about the books they have read. We build reading list the way we collect debt, enthusiastically and with a vague hope that somehow, someday we will deal with it. And I think this urgency, this constant forward motion through books and papers and articles is quite destroying the very thing the reading is supposed to give us. See, because reading is not just an act of moving your eyes across pages and reading something about in that way. That is that's the easy part, I feel. What I feel to be the hard part is that what comes after. The sitting, the not knowing all apart, the slow, the uncomfortable process of letting an idea actually change you the way you saw the world or you thought about something. When you are always rushing to a book, we never give the last, we give the last room to the breath. I'm fourth year, maths major. I study mathematics, and mathematics has a strange relationship with speed. Nobody rushes through a proof. You cannot. You read one line and you stop. You reread it, you write something on paper, cross it over, stare at the ceiling for like 20 minutes maybe. You go for a walk, you come back, you read that line again, and somehow that eureka moments happen. Understanding does not happen during the reading. You see this point. This is important because people don't believe in this part. They don't give that importance to the part of understanding while reading. Reading is not just passive activity, it happens in the silence, this reflecting upon. And that is not laziness. This is how mathematics at large works. You read very slowly, and these pauses are not the wasted time. These pauses are something which work. These pauses actually work in your larger framework. And I kept thinking about what do we need not to read this book in that way? Why do we treat a chapter of philosophy or a difficult, easy, like problem set? Why do we never just why do we never just stop? I mean, not reading book is not laziness. Not reading is the other half of reading. The walk you take finishing a difficult chapter, the week you spend about thinking about the problem, the afternoon you spend staring at out of your window, not picking up any book at all. That is where understanding actually happens. We have convinced ourselves that more input means more knowledge. But knowledge is not input. Knowledge is what survives after you have forgotten most of the things which you have read. It is to reduce, and reduce residue needs that kind of